Danny, how do you feel about the thought of Tua needs to retire? We've seen him do the fencing thing twice now. We know he's had, multiple concussions. How do you feel about that whole conversation? Being a quarterback, I would assume you had some concussions in the past. How do you feel about the Tua needs to retire conversation?
Man, I'm so torn on this because, none of us get to talk to the doctors that he talks to. None of us get the input he does. None of us are in his body knowing what he feels like the day after. Is he groggy? Is he still feeling the consequences? Is his body, still sore? How is his memory? And they will try to test all those things. But sometimes this is very subjective. And it's, what does the actual person tell? And are they going to be 100% honest? I will say this. My dad, who was, Channing, him, Hoch, him. I mean, he was a team doctor for the Dolphins for 20 years. My dad probably would have advised me to hang it up. I have a good feeling. I've talked to my dad about it. If you have made that much money, then you're secure financially. What are you doing? Like, go live your life, do something else after football. And I probably would have said, you know what, Dad, you're right. Like, let's go maybe be a broadcaster, be an entrepreneur, whatever it is. You can have a really nice life when you put away $90 million. But I also know guys that live, eat, and breathe football, and their whole life has been on that. And I would say Tua is probably in that category with a family who has been all in behind his career and all in as Tua the quarterback, who may want to see him be the greatest quarterback in the NFL or be the Miami Dolphins quarterback that can bring them a Super Bowl trophy. I don't know what advice he gets, but I don't want to tell him what to do either. I'll trust him in that decision. And if he wants to give it one more run and he's been cleared, I would support him in that decision. But I just have a feeling if it was my dad, if it was a similar situation, how scary it's been with those responses that you mentioned, my dad would probably advise me to hang it up. And I just think that's probably the direction I would go, but to each his own. And if he decides to come back, I'll trust the doctors and the medical advice that he's gotten. And hopefully we'll see a player flourish. But it's a very interesting decision that he's got to make. And some people will call him crazy, but I get the fact that you want to finish what you started and you want to go out in your own terms. Except we've seen many careers ended because the game is harsh. The game is one of the most, it'll spit you out. It'll chew you up and spit you out. It is a harsh, violent game that sometimes not everybody's built to play.
You ever had one of those where you felt it days later? Did I know about his dad?
No.
Yeah. Did you know his dad was my doctor when I played?
Yeah. His dad's for people in South Florida, Danny Kanell's dad is a famous doctor. But yes. He was a team physician for a long time.
Yeah. And once your dad figures out that you're just one of the guys, he speaks to you directly, Danny.
The only issue I would take with what Danny said there was, man, when you're young, first of all, you don't always listen to your dad anyway. You certainly don't always listen to doctors because you feel invincible. And then on top of that, you're a quarterback and you've got Tyreek Hill as one of your receivers and a coach who believes in you. Like, everything is so set up for Tua to succeed. Like, this is what he's done his entire life to get to this moment with this kind of roster, with this kind of head coach. Like, to walk away from that when you're feeling okay, if he's feeling okay, is such that would be a decision that I would say 9 out of 10 athletes would not make.
Yeah. And I totally get what you're saying. I don't know. I really don't. It's going to be really a fascinating thing to see it play out. The other thing that I think we do know, like, concussions are and brain injuries are so hard because everyone responds differently. I've been with guys at a walkthrough without pads on that like bumped their head with another guy and had a concussion and like all of a sudden had a headache and went into protocol. I've played with other guys who I've seen some of the most vicious, violent hits unfold right in front of me, head-to-head contact. They bounced up and nothing happened to them and they were totally fine. And even to this day, they're totally fine. It's one of these really inexplicable. There's not one way to treat any one patient, any one brain. They're all the same. So if Tua is out there and he's passing the protocols and he's saying, I think clearly, I remember everything, I feel fine, then yeah,